That, ladies and gentlemen, was Boris Johnson being harangued and booed outside of his own home after the results of the Brexit referendum. This is why the economy is failing right now in the UK. If I was an investor, I wouldn't invest in a country where more than half of the country isn't accepting of a democratic vote and is acting like whiny little children. If you can't tell right now, I am more than a little pissed off because I'm having to watch this same thing come out between family members and friends all over Facebook. It's annoying the crap out of me because I thought people were better than this. I'm watching my uncles who are older than me. I don't have any grandparents left, and I'm really thankful I don't because they would be kicking their kids' backsides right now for acting the way they are. But I am watching my elders act like petulant little children. If this had gone the other way, you just know most of the Exeters would have been in a much nicer disposition. They wouldn't have acted like this. Because that's the problem. The side that lost is the side which just doesn't care about democracy anymore. The side that lost is made up with mostly socialists. Yes, the UK is a socialist democratic country, but you still vote for things. The EU, when it was brought in, when the UK joined the European Union, bear in mind they were already members of the trading bloc before they joined the EU in 1979, the people who voted then, they have grown. They have watched. They have seen how the EU has changed from what they agreed to, and they are making a decision and taking a stand now to allow their grandchildren, their children, the chance to actually build a stronger and better country. And what do these kids do? Throw a hissy fit. I have an 18-month-old child who doesn't act this bad. It's so annoying that it's really riled me up. Now, on the other side of the spectrum, I haven't seen anything good just as yet. Obviously, the media is focusing on the xenophobic people who did vote. Obviously, they chose to leave the EU because they wanted to get rid of all of the immigrants in the country. That's not going to happen, and that wasn't what I voted for. But nobody's really paying that much attention. They're holding these people up as heroes. That this big group of people will go and stand down a single man and boo and catcall and threaten him. Whereas the xenophobic ones they keep holding up, it's a few people against a larger group telling them to get out of the country. They're the bad guys, but this big group of people picking on one person, they're the good guys. Neither of them are good. This is wrong. The xenophobic ones are wrong. I'm going to play you something. The video is courtesy of Rupsley TV. Link to his channel will be in the description and the video. This is what Nigel Farage said, the leader of the UKIP party, MEP for the United Kingdom. This is what he said.
Morning. Funny, isn't it? Funny, isn't it? Thank you very much for that very warm welcome. How things have changed.
Eine Sekunde bitte.
Just a second, Mr. Farage.
Kolleginnen und Kollegen,
Ladies and gentlemen,
eine große Qualität der Demokratie
one
ist,
major
dass man auch
quality
denen
of
zuhört,
democracy is that you listen
deren Meinung man nicht
to
teilt.
those, even if you don't share their opinion.
Well, thank you, Mr. Schultz. Isn't it funny? You know, when I came here 17 years ago, and I said that I wanted to lead a campaign to get Britain to leave the European Union, you all laughed at me. You have imposed upon them a political union. You've imposed upon them a political union. And when the people in 2005 in the Netherlands and France voted against that political union, when they rejected the Constitution, you simply ignored them and brought the Lisbon Treaty in through the back door. What happened? What happened last Thursday was a remarkable result. It was indeed a seismic result, not just for British politics, for European politics, but perhaps even for global politics too, because what the little people did, what the ordinary people did, what the people who've been oppressed over the last few years and seen their living standards go down, they rejected the multinationals, they rejected the merchant banks, they rejected big politics, and they said, actually, we want our country back. We want our fishing waters back. We want our borders back. We want to be an independent, self-governing, normal nation. And that is what we have done, and that is what must happen. I know that virtually none of you have ever done a proper job in your lives, or worked in business, or worked in trade, or indeed ever created a job. But listen, just listen.
Herr Farage, Augenblick.
Mr. Farage, just a second.
But if we were to move to a position where tariffs were reintroduced on products like motor cars, then hundreds of thousands of German workers would risk losing their jobs. So why don't we just be pragmatic, sensible, grown up, realistic, and let's cut between us a sensible tariff-free deal, and thereafter recognise that the United Kingdom will be your friend, that we will trade with you, we will cooperate with you, we will be your best friends in the world. But do that, do it sensibly, and allow us to go off and pursue our global ambitions and future. Thank you.
So there you have it. Obviously, I cut that up into clips. But if you want to see the full speech, the link, as I said, will be below. But while he was a little condescending, he had a lot of good points. The UK isn't going to go into a freefall unless the EU acts like the petulant children that were catcalling him there in the European Parliament. Again, they're the leaders of Europe, and they're acting like petulant children too. I'm from the UK, and I've seen what Parliament in the UK looks like. It's a special kind of stupid in the political spectrum. But that's the UK. And I kind of hope that one day they're going to grow up. Although, given the fact that they can drink while they're there, I find it more likely that most of them are drunk. But the MEPs in Europe should be working to keep Europe strong. If the UK pulls out and they no longer trade, or they have to impose tariffs in order for things to be exported from Europe, and pay tariffs in order for things to be exported into Europe, it's going to have a knock-on effect in Europe as well as England. Now, England isn't going to feel that as much. I mean, we're already in an economic recession, apparently. But England can't, well, the United Kingdom, I should stop saying England, but you'll understand why when I get to that part in a second. But the United Kingdom can trade with other people and work out trade agreements. And everybody and their mother is jumping to do that right now because they don't want to have issues trading. Europe, on the other hand, has a big problem. They have an artificially inflated economy, a failing economic zone, several member states who, while they are paying their debts, they're paying them by taking loans, so technically I don't think that counts as them paying, as more them failing to pay, but in a spectacularly interesting, super way of doing it. And it's a crumbling thing. I cannot believe it's taken this long for the UK to leave the EU, and we've still got to wait another couple of years because it's going to take a while to negotiate everything and get out peacefully. I hope everything goes peacefully, although I have a funny feeling it's probably not, and there'll be more videos coming from me. Now, let's get back into the United Kingdom, or the not so United Kingdom, whereby Scotland and Northern Ireland want to stay in Europe, but they're willing to do that to a point where they will do a referendum and leave the United Kingdom if needed. Bear in mind, the Republic of Ireland, the largest part of the Irish island, is already part of the EU. Northern Ireland is part of the UK and part of the EU, but it's part of the UK and so would be pulled out by this. Scotland, again, it's a separate country, but it's part of the United Kingdom and part of the EU through that. Even if they do a referendum and leave, the only one which would have any kind of hope of staying in the EU in the event of the UK pulling out will be Northern Ireland, because they'll go through unification and they'll join Ireland, which is already a separate country of its own with its own free right as a member of the EU. Scotland will become a separate country which is not a member of the EU. It will become Scotland, not the United Kingdom, and will therefore have to go back into the EU and renegotiate everything that it wants to have. And that's not going to work so well for Scotland. It's exactly the reason why they didn't leave the UK in the first place. Because they just wouldn't have the same level or same negotiating power as they do as part of the UK. England, in and of itself, has more going for it. It has a chance. And what we need to do is stop acting like petulant children arguing across the playground over who did what and who's right or wrong. It's happened. You can complain about it. But if you're going to cause socio-economic problems, you're only going to make things worse. Right now, even if you win this argument and somehow manage to keep the United Kingdom inside of Europe, you are doing so much damage that you may freefall the United Kingdom into a recession, and things are going to get worse in Europe anyway. We need to stop acting like petulant children. We need to start working together. The United Kingdom is a family. We joined Europe as part of an economic bloc in order to allow free trade and allow us to level the playing field. That has changed in the last 15 years. It's gone from a trading bloc into an economic powerhouse and is slowly becoming its own state. But it's not filled with democracy. You don't have the same rights. It's kind of like America, except that the Americans get to vote properly. And the states still have sovereign rights. The UK wouldn't have those sovereign rights. They were losing them to the EU. Each state in America has the same amount of sovereign rights as any single country. There are a few things that they can't control, and that is done by the Constitution of the United States of America. Those of you who were paying attention, the Lisbon Treaty was originally the Constitution of Europe. Everybody voted it down. It never even made it as far as the UK for a referendum on that. That's how bad it was. And they snuck it through the back doors, the Lisbon Treaty. So they still got their constitution in. Undemocratically. Without people agreeing to it. And it takes freedoms away. I, for one, was a Brexit person. I voted Brexit. I wanted the UK out of Europe. I want Europe to go back to being an economic trading bloc. I don't want it to be a political power. Or four people. The four people in charge of the four commissions. That much power. But you don't have a constitution reining them in like America does with their president. That's dangerous. Power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. I know I'm probably saying this to a bunch of deaf ears and nobody cares. But all I'm asking for is, can we just grow up? Do we have to act like petulant children? Do we have to let the whole world look at the United Kingdom and think, well, they had a chance and they screwed it up because they were too busy arguing between themselves? I guess democracy is dead if we can't. Because that's essentially what's going to happen. Right now, the people complaining are complaining against democracy. They're calling for socialism. They're calling for their government to overrule the people's choice. Once you start down that path, it's very, very, very hard to come back out of it. And it will usually end up in a very bad way. Just look at history. Look at socialism. Tell me a single socialist state that is still working right now. And don't point at the United Kingdom because it's not 100% socialist. Right now, it's a socialist democracy. It could get worse, and it could get better. Let's try and work together, shall we? Well, that's my faults, so ciao for now.